Hey guys, Nick from Taylor Timepieces here, and today we're going to talk about something that a lot of people have asked me in recent years, and that is, of course, the difference between the 40mm sub and the 41mm sub. Now we have both here in stock at Taylor Timepieces, and I figured, of course, that with that being the case, no pun intended, that we could chat about that for a little bit. So of course, you know, the 41mm sub has been out for some years now. I believe they started in 2020. And what you'll see here is, of course, the larger dial by a millimeter, and you know, you have, of course, slimmer lugs, a slimmer profile. Now that definitely comes in handy if you're trying to fit it under something like a suit cuff. As you can see, I have a suit that I'm wearing right now, and the slimmer profile definitely does help. You know, you also have that updated power reserve and the updated movement, which, you know, as a collector, a lot of collectors actually prefer the 3-1 movement that could be found in the 40mm sub. However, you know, there are some pros and cons to each, so I figured we chat about that. You know, like I said, some pros to the newer, and this is actually a 2025 brand new piece, and it's dated February of 2025. Those who know that they actually changed the box, and that's something that you have right here. They did change the box to the watch itself, so it is a little bit more ergonomic, I would say, and it doesn't have those rivets on the top of the box that you used to find in those older models. But with that being said, you know, you do have slimmer lugs. You do have an upgraded power reserve. I believe they upgraded it to 72 hours. And of course, you know, you have that AR coating. Now, the AR coating is helpful because essentially, you know, it's a little bit more scratch resistant. And something like this could be had for, I would say, about $14,000. Brand new, of course. And if you are somebody who wants the newest and most popular piece, I think that the 41 is great. You know, there are some negatives to having the 41, and that is, of course, the lack of the 3-1 movement. You have, of course, you know, it's more expensive. So if you are someone that is a little bit more on a budget, I think that you know, the 40 is definitely a better bet. And of course, you have a if you look at the two, you have, of course, you know, a smaller clasp. You know, with that being said, a positive of this 41 is with that 1mm larger, even though I think in the grand scheme of things, it might not make as much of a difference, especially with these two side to side. You do have a little bit more room for all the functions, so the dial itself is not as cluttered as 40mm sub. You know, it has a little bit more space to, you know, do everything it's got to do with the date wheel and, you know, the hands and things like that. You know, and having that AR coating is just an extra little bit of protection on the piece. With that being said, if we're looking at a 40mm sub, you know, positives to that now is it's a much more affordable example. You know, this is I believe a 2017 example of the sub, and you know, it's a beautiful piece. I mean, something like this you can have for about $10,000, $11,000, depending on, you know, the completeness of the piece. You do have, of course, you know, that 3-1 movement, which a lot of purists prefer, and I think it's smaller. So if you're, of course, you know, somebody with a more modest wrist size, they can enjoy it, and you'll be able to enjoy it. Now, of course, because of that, there's no AR coating on the watch, which means you have to be a little bit more careful scratching the piece, making sure that you know, it's you know, handled with care. And I just think, which one do I prefer? Honestly, I actually prefer the 40. I think that it is a little bit more, um, economically friendly for the wrist. I think that it is a little bit more. Um, of course, it's smaller. So myself, I have a 7.5 inch wrist. I like, to have smaller pieces. I think a large piece could be sometimes a little bit bulkier. This is, of course, something that might be a little bit harder to fit on the wrist because the lugs itself are, you know, not not as slim. So if I wanted to put this underneath a cuff, I might have a harder time. But I think in general, I think I do prefer the 40 millimeter sub, and at that price point, you're saving $2,000 or $3,000. So then the question becomes, do you prefer basically saving or spending $2,000 or $3,000 more for an updated movement and an AR coating and of course a slimmer lug? Now, if you're somebody who wears a lot of suits like myself, and having a watch that fits under your cuff is of importance to you, then I would say go with the 41. I do think that it's of course, a more updated piece. If you're somebody who wants to maybe have a more affordable piece, and you don't mind buying a piece that's taken a depreciation hit already, then a 40 millimeter sub is the way to go. Now, for me, it's a 40 millimeter sub. I know that with the thicker lugs, it's a little bit harder to put that piece underneath a cuff for me, and I do enjoy wearing suits, but for me, it's not a deal breaker. And to save that $2,000 or $3,000, I don't mind it. I know that some people don't necessarily agree. I know that some people want the newest and best pieces, and again, this is your collection, so it's really about what works best for you. We do have both examples here in stock and tailored timepieces, and I hope that this video was helpful in helping you make that decision and working towards, adding something to your collection, whether it's from here at Tailored Timepieces or another seller. I hope that you do all the due diligence you can before making that purchase, and I hope that once you get that purchase, you really enjoy it, because watches are, of course, in my view, a great way to mark those moments in your life, and I hope that for whatever reason you're getting a timepiece, I hope it's a good one. As always, I appreciate you guys giving this a listen. I know that it's a little shorter than our normal videos, but I do want to come out and do as many as I can a week. We're aiming for between 2 and 3 a week at this time, and for the last week or two, we've been pretty consistent with it. So, as always, I appreciate the feedback. If there's any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave that in the comments and let me know. Essentially what your favorite piece is, and if you would have to choose between a 40 millimeter sub and a 41, what do you prefer? Thank you. Bye-bye.